Hey everybody, welcome into the Odd Rhythm Fantasy. I was almost to say studios, but yeah, welcome in everybody to Odd Rhythm Fantasy. I'm your host Jamie at Odd Rhythm Fan, and I got my co-host at Eli Appletoff over there. It's Wednesday. Well, it's actually a Booty Wednesday. We can say booty here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but welcome in everybody. It's hey, are you wearing my shirt over there? What
Better
the
question.
hell?
Better question is, are you wearing my shirt? Look at this,
What
loud
the
and
what?
proud, baby.
This was not
Yeah,
not even a coincidence either. And I'm like, what?
we didn't even plan this. We didn't even plan this shit. Fuck. I've been working all day. I just got off probably an hour and a half ago, and so Jamie. Yeah, it's not like we color coordinated this shit, but great minds think alike. What can you say?
Yeah.
Out
But
of like Jay was saying, welcome in.
yes, on tonight's agenda, like always, Eli will have his gold star player. He'll have a dud, and we'll have our blacklist player of the week too, as well. A guy that we don't want to deal with anymore. Guy we just written off and
Yep.
tossed him out the window, and he's done with fantasy. And then we'll have our waivers, and then we'll have toward the end of the show we will actually have our notable games to watch for this weekend. So I got a couple of good games in there for the weekend for us to maybe talk about, and we'll see what happens.
I can't wait. It's Wednesday, college football. Maybe we'll start the show here after we got to do our plugs. Go and find us on all these social media places and all these different apps and stuff. Discord, obviously, Jay's always on that. Instagram, we need, as always, we say the same spiel every week. Got to get better at that. We know. I just saying, I got naked photos in my phone. So in case you guys ever want to see, I'll post them.
No,
Spotify,
he will not post them. We'll totally get
Spotify,
banned.
Spotify has got all the previous
Uh,
episodes, including last week's show, which was we got off to a rough beginning there, first 5 minutes, some audio technical difficulties, but rest of the show went pretty smooth, and tonight should go smooth if you're tuning in. So it should be an easy listen.
yeah, and
Spotify's got all the previous archived episodes. Podbean, Apple, YouTube, of course. Jay's got a great playlist over there on YouTube of all of our
yeah.
stuff and YouTube Shorts. Because sometimes I'm a little bit too much for myself. So if you can only handle a little bite size,
Sweet Jesus.
you can only handle a bite size of me and Jay, or just me. You can go over a bunch of YouTube Shorts. They're roughly about a minute or less. So
Yeah,
give
somewhere
you
in
a little
there.
sample. Give you a little sample of what we do, and if you want to spread the word on that, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and then hit the notification button too.
Yes.
We got content. We're like the fucking mail. They show up every day. FedEx, USPS, whatever, Speedy. They're all here. So are we. We're here every Wednesday night.
Yes, we
So
are.
you can count on that.
But yeah, if you guys didn't catch me last night, I was actually on
Was
on fantasy RPG last night. I was over there. We were talking little college. Not college. We were talking little rookies yesterday. So that was kind of fun. So I mean, that's actually on our link to our channel as well. So if you want to go back and check that out, yep. So you can go over there and watch that over there. Yes. Yes, it was a fun time. Yes, it was a blast. Those 2
is.
guys over there. Those 2 guys are a blast over there. If you guys haven't gone and checked them out, Fantasy RPG over there with Mike and Evan. Just two guys just having fun. But they pretty much break down a lot. They do some college spotlights too as well. They break down players and a lot of dynasty stuff too as well. We kind of do some dynasty stuff as well. We might try to do a little dynasty kind of mix it up in here because we do dynasty for college too as well. So we might itch a little bit of that in here too as well while we're talking like waivers and stuff like that. So, but there's a lot of stuff in the future.
They were well, you did a great job. Mike and Evan did a great job. Everybody did a great job. All I had to say, I watched the show after the fact. I was tied up. I might have literally been tied up, but I was tied up with something. So I went back and listened to the stream. You guys said way too many nice things about too many bad teams. Just saying. I was like, what is this? What is this? I
Hey,
didn't even
I was the one that was trying to be contrarian
I
here.
trashed them all. They haven't got a lot of nobody's got a lot of NFL talk out of me yet. You know, we've been on the DL with that for a couple months. That's been on ice. I've been waiting. I'm gonna have to be on with those guys next week. Chris, yes, Stewart already scoring. Oh, yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yes.
Terrian Stewart, possibly from Bowling Green.
Oh, is there a game tonight? I know there was a game last night, and we're like, well, we're trying to do waivers and whatnot, and how are we supposed to do waivers when there's a college football game going on? It doesn't make that easy.
Should be double fisting this stuff. I got. What is this?
Oh
God, get that off. You know what? Jackson. Jacksonville State's playing tonight. Let's get a score update.
I don't think there is any games, actually, to be honest with you.
Nope, they're up 7-3. Playing New Mexico State.
Oh, that game's at. Oh, so we're actually doing some, wow. Okay. Well, our waivers are going to be going on while the game's going, and unfortunately, one of those guys. Hopefully, if you got okay, let's put it this way: if you guys haven't on Sunday night, Monday morning, if you guys didn't catch my top 4 for waivers, you might have just missed out on one of these guys we just mentioned.
I feel like the 4 horsemen. I feel like Ric Flair here. Woo! Here. Yeah, New Mexico State. This actually might be a good game tonight. I remember watching the Liberty New Mexico State game a few weeks back. They should have beat Liberty. Like it was a last minute fourth quarter effort by Caden Salter and the boys, and they pulled that one out. But New Mexico State was very competitive there. I know they're 1-4, but this should actually be a pretty good game. So if you want to like simulcast us with the game going on, we're not taking any offense to that. Maybe you put us on the tablet. You put the game on the TV or the laptop,
actually,
whatever you want to
do. Speaking of the game, actually, I'm gonna put it on over here while we're. So if anything does happen, I can be like,
playoff baseball.
No, okay. You know what? I'm like all done with baseball. I'm like, I had enough of baseball for the season. College football, it is. So, but yeah, let's get into it. We got I think which way do you want to go? Do you want to go the duds? No, hold on. Let's talk about the Miami game real quick. Did you think I watched that game? I was like, what just happened? I seen the Bears blowing out freaking Miami, and all of a sudden a turn happened. What happened, Eli?
Well, Jaden Ott, that's Jamie's boy. I mean, he's been MIA most of the year. He's been. I'll be honest. If it hadn't have been for his injuries this year, Jaden Ott would have been on the blacklist. Let's just be on. I mean, he's been DOA all year for Cal, and finally he shows up. Cal, it looks like they're going to pull off and Cal's actually respectable this year. We didn't know what to expect with them going into the ACC, and they've kind of been a down program for a while, but they should have won. That's another one Miami escaped. You know what I mean? They should have lost to Virginia Tech. Literally, they should have lost that game. They should have an L, in the loss column. This Cal game they could have lost. I don't know what to make. Either Cam Ward is Superman. He goes and changes in the booth with 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. That's just his thing. Or Miami's really not that good. I don't know. Like, where would they be without Cam Ward? I mean, would this be a 7-5 team without Cam?
That I think without having Cam and Martinez there, I think this team would be a totally different.
Martinez had a good game. He's been kind of DOA himself. I mean, I can't call out Jaden Ott and not call out Martinez too from Miami, but we've been saying it. The role players need to step up. If this is going to be a playoff team, if this is going to be a playoff team that can compete with Ohio State, Oregon, Alabama, Texas, teams like that, the supporting cast has to step up, and that defense is atrocious. That Miami defense is awful.
Yeah, they gave up way too many games, and I was like, Cal can't be this good for them to be blowing out Miami.
They're not. They lost to Florida State. They lost to Florida State.
What?
That was Florida State's lone win of the year.
Cal should have beaten them. That's very, very,
I
very
think it was
sad.
14-9 or something ridiculous. Like Florida State can't move the fucking football, but yet they beat Cal. I don't know. I don't know what to make of the ACC. I don't know what to make of the ACC. It is hilarious. I don't know what to make of the ACC. A part of me is like, is Clemson the best team again? You know, Cam Ward's the best player. Like Cam Ward it should be everybody's Heisman favorite right now. That could change. I had him since day one. Before the season started, I had Cam winning the Heisman, but like he's the best player in the ACC. Let's just be honest. But like Clemson's got a better roster, so Duke's 5-1. You know, they haven't really beat anybody yet, but you know, Duke's respectable. You look at Pitt. I mean, Pitt's ranked now. I think they're 22. So there's some teams throwing their name in the hat to try to compete in the ACC. So Miami's not just going to have a cakewalk. You know, they can't just keep, you know, skinning the cat here and you know, winning by one against mediocre teams. You know, that's what Virginia Tech and Cal are. They're like 6-7 win teams, right? I'd understand struggling with a Georgia, you know, with an Oregon, a team like that. I mean, those are tough games. These are like mid-pack ACC teams that they're struggling with right now. So that defense is awful. And like I said, the supporting cast has got to be more consistent because Cam is literally doing this on his own. He's putting this team on his back. If they win the ACC and go to the playoffs, if he doesn't win the Heisman, it's a damn shame. I mean, it's a fucking felony if he doesn't win the Heisman.
I mean, they do got. I mean, I think honestly, I think they'll beat Louisville pretty easy. I mean, Louisville looked. I mean, they look pretty decent.
Louisville's got some players. Louisville's got some players. I think they're. I mean, they're not as good as Clemson, but I mean, I think they're a little bit better than Cal and Virginia Tech. So I mean, this is going to be a tough game. I mean, Miami should win, but you can't bank on this team anymore. You can't bet on them. You can't, you know, like what are you going to do with the Hurricanes here? I mean, there's a Category 3 hurricane going on right now out in the fucking Gulf of Mexico, and now there's, you know, it's come to land, and now the hurricane, you know, Miami's just, I don't know. I expect one of these weeks, I expect them to just completely shit the bed and get beat by like 25. Cam Ward is the gatekeeper. He is keeping that from happening.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say. So pretty much they got Louisville this weekend. Got Florida State next weekend. They got Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. A lot of those are a lot of easy. I mean, Syracuse might be a challenge for them. Kyle
McCord, look, he's right there at the bottom. Kyle McCord is the 4th leading passer in FBS. So I mean, Syracuse can go with anybody. They're not. I mean, they just beat UNLV.
Yeah. I mean, that game was pretty nuts.
So Syracuse, they're no pushover. Duke's no pushover. So Miami's not going to just. This isn't going to be a cakewalk. 12-0, 13-0. Like that's not going to happen. Like they're going to slip up, especially playing like this. They might slip up twice. So I mean, I was more disappointed. I was happy for Cam because I'm a huge Cam Ward fan, but for the team, I don't think there's enough around him to you know, compete for a national championship. I think they'll be lucky to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of teams right now that are, you know, undefeated that could intentionally just be out of the playoffs after just one loss. I mean, look at the Alabama game here. I mean, they were second and they barely moved down. I mean, finally Michigan is moving down the ranks because they shouldn't even be ranked right now because of how horrible they are.
Jay, in their 1951 offense, like you get Michigan out of here. Just stop. It's ridiculous. I have right here in front of me. There are 3 undefeated teams that aren't ranked. Obviously, Liberty hasn't been that impressive. I mean, let's be honest. They almost lost to New Mexico State. I mean, let's just be honest. So Liberty, Army's got they got a great rushing attack. Army, not Navy's a team that I wish was ranked over Michigan. Like Michigan is not. They're what 7-5, 8-4.
Yeah,
interesting question for Yeah. Go ahead, man. Go ahead and ask it. Absolutely.
All
That's what
right,
we're here for.
yeah, here we go. This one's kind of big.
He's right on topic. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. I'm an Army fan, and we are 5-0 this year with a shot to be in the group of 5 playoff. We may be heading into an Army Navy ACC title game, AAC title game. Wondering how many other fans would react if. Basically, what he's saying, yeah, if it's a like, let's say it's a 12-0, or 11-0, 11-0 team, or like an 11-0. 11-0 and 10-1 team going head to head at the end of the year. I mean, just being a vet, I'm an Air Force veteran myself. Like, just being a vet, I mean, it'd be great to see, man. When's the last time Army was competing for anything? Really, Navy too. Navy's been ranked here and there, but when's the last time Army was actually? I mean, that'd be so fucking cool if they were the G5 school to get in.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna be the key too. Is I mean, there's one spot open for a small G5 team, and who knows?
Jay, it's gonna be hard to beat Boise out.
Yeah,
I mean,
I have to agree with that.
If Boise runs the table, this discussion's irrelevant. Liberty, no. Army, no. Navy, no. Their schedules just aren't strong enough. Like Boise went toe to toe with Oregon and could have won that game. And Oregon's gonna
most definitely.
And 95% chance Oregon's going to be a playoff team, right? Ashton Genty, I mean, he's look at the stats on the. I put all the stats on the bottom scroll. Over 1,000 yards rushing, averaging almost 11 yards a carry, 16 rushing touchdowns.
Dude,
that's Heisman. Him and Cam Ward are like 1-1A with the Heisman right now. So you're not. I would love to see Army or Navy or a team we don't get to see very often. I think that'd be awesome.
And I think that's the thing too, is just seeing a different perspective. Especially with the bigger playoffs in there. We're going to be able to see a more variety of teams actually, instead of this 4 playoff bullshit. We have Alabama and Georgia all this fucking time, and it's just it's I'm over it. I hate these big old media platforms talking about these teams all the damn time. It's just like you just want to turn the damn TV off. Let's talk about some different teams out there that are as good as a lot of these bigger Power 5 teams. It's for me. I that's what I like about it. There's so many different college teams out there, especially when it comes to fantasy too. I mean, fantasy is a little, it's a little bit different animal with so many different teams out there, but you can actually take a look at it. You can actually see the development of, kids from a smaller school compared to a bigger school. They might not have the resources, but they got, I think they actually have a little bit more of the heart to actually want to be better than, a lot of these other like Power 5 teams out there.
And we're going to talk about Bryson Daly, the quarterback from Army. He's probably going to be in my waivers. He's been having a great year. Blake Horvath, these guys they don't have they're not the passers, because these are traditionally, these are old school offenses. Like Michigan's kind of a bullshit, whatever the hell they're trying to do. But I mean, Army and Navy have been running this offense since like the 1930s. You know what I mean? Comes down for Michigan. They got the Huskies just whoop that ass. I'm happy about that. I picked Michigan, but I hate Michigan. So, go figure. I will say though, if Army beats Notre Dame, that would be enough to propel them over.
Didn't I pick Washington?
God,
that's tough. Washington.
That's tough. I mean, Army a 12. Okay, this is a poll question right here. This needs to be on the X. A 12-0 Army team with a win over Notre Dame, or an 11-1 Mountain West champion Boise State who went toe to toe and could have beat Oregon. Like, who do you take? It's a good discussion, because Notre Dame is going to be. I know they sucked against Northern Illinois, earlier in the year, but they've been looking good. Riley Leonard, I actually have in my surprisingly have in my waivers this week. He's been looking good, at least rushing the ball. So I mean, Notre Dame could possibly win 10 games. So that's gonna or 9 if they lost Army, but like that's a damn good win. I think that should be a poll question. And we create this stuff on the fly. We didn't plan to wear the same shirt. We're making up our own polls as we go. Yeah, that's a great discussion. A 12-0 Army team with a win over Notre Dame, or an 11-1 Boise Mountain West champion with basically what could have been a win over Oregon. So
And that's gonna be
we'll have
your
to see how that would
and
go.
this will be your YouTube short too as well.
Yeah, yep, right there. See us in our matching yellow t-shirts.
I mean, everybody that's watching, hey, don't be if you got something to say, put it
Don't be
out,
shy.
Yeah, don't be shy, man. I mean,
Come on in.
it creates it makes the show lively, makes it 10 times better with your opinions out there too as well. I mean, yeah, it might be a little bit of a waiver show, but we try to mix it up a little bit too. We got a little
We do a little bit
DFS
of
up in
everything,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, we got
We'll talk fucking baseball if you want to. I mean, look, the fucking Mets are, what, 2 games away from the
they actually
NLCS?
just won, so Mets move
Well,
on.
yeah, so Mets won. So Mets have a 3-1 lead over Philly. So
No, they actually just won. They actually they moved.
Oh no
Yeah,
shit.
they just beat Philly. They're moving on.
I swore I just saw the highlights from game 3 like not too long ago.
Yeah.
Good lord. Okay, so the Mets are awesome. Mets are in the NLCS.
Yep.
Is that the first time since 2015? Might be.
Yep. Correct. That's crazy. But that's enough baseball talk.
Yeah, right. That's yeah. That's all. Get a little too excited there.
Yeah.
So
Was there
Jay, I was just gonna say quick. So we covered, Washington whooping that ass. Rogers and Denzel and the boys, Coleman. They stomped Michigan out, which is good. We talked about Miami. Tennessee going down to Arkansas, like only putting up 14 points.
I was watching that game a little bit too, and I know, I think we were on that game. I think I said Tennessee. I don't remember back there. I'll have to go back and watch, but I mean, I know we kind of talked about it a little bit. I was kind of like, what?
I said Arkansas would be game. I think Arkansas and Kentucky are kind of underrated mid-pack SEC teams this year. Like they're not going to compete for the playoffs or anything, but Kentucky and Arkansas, they could ruin people's seasons. Look what Kentucky did to Ole Miss. And they went toe to toe with Georgia. They could have beat Georgia. Arkansas just beat Tennessee. So these are going to be, maybe some 7-win teams that kind of create some havoc here. I don't know. Nico looked awful that last drive. I was watching that and I was like, I thought they were going to pull it out. I was like, Hype was going to dial up some stuff and.
I had a prop on. I think I had a prop with Nico getting a rushing touchdown. He usually gets 1 rushing touchdown up in there.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
I had Samson, so I'm like, I know. I guess it was kind of like I was hoping for that prop. That prop to hit.
Jay, Dylan Sampson didn't disappoint. He didn't let people down. That fucking the receivers and the defense. That's what
I think. Well, I think a lot of it. A lot of the play calling too. And them just kind of like, oh, we have enough time. I don't think they were motivated enough to actually want. They were just like slow pacing it like snails. So it's just like, what the hell are you guys doing? You guys gotta be like, quick, let's go. You guys are urgent to win a damn game, and they, they just let time run out. It's like, what the, it just made no fucking sense at all.
So Tennessee went down. They're still in the hunt for the playoffs. I mean, Ole Miss the same thing. If Ole Miss beats LSU this weekend, they'll be right back in the catbird seat again to get one of the playoff spots. So, at the end of the line, Georgia obviously went down to Alabama. Georgia's still in a catbird seat. So a lot of these SEC teams that are 1 loss are still in good spots. And of course, it's our shameless plug. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that jazz. When we got new stuff up. Jay puts some of his waivers on his own time up as well. So we're always putting up goodies, shorts. That's about that was about what I saw from week 6. We'll get into some of the bigger players that kind of hit. It's a good transition point right now. I've been trying to avoid him for the longest time. I've been trying to put up guys that don't get a lot of love nationally. Okay, Blake Horvath, Cade Klubnik, guys like that, guys that might, to the fan bases, they know who they are, but the national audience, the average fantasy guy might not know. Everybody knows Ashton Genty. This man is a beast. He's got that dog in him, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, like LA Knight says. I'm looking more like LA Knight as the weeks go on, by the way. the beard and the whole getup is very LA Knight. And all I need is he's in those Slim Jim commercials. All I need is one of them Slim Jim. Step into a Slim Jim.
Right?
Week 6 against Utah State. 13 carries, 186 yards, another 3 touchdown game. Look at this. Look at these stats. Look at this. He doesn't even have 100 carries. So he's not even like it's not even like a bunch of wear and tear, Jay. I mean, he's not catching a bunch of balls out of the backfield, but you don't have to. When you're averaging 11 yards a carry, when you have over 1,000 yards in what, 5 games or whatever Boise's played, 5-6 games, 16 touchdowns. I mean, who the hell needs to catch the ball at that point? Good. Look. Ooh. Did you see any of that Utah State game or hear about it or check the highlights?
No, unfortunately, I didn't. I seen some of the highlights, so it's kind of like, damn, dude, that is freaking. I mean, to see what Ashton is actually doing this year compared to Ollie, I thought Ollie would be almost on the same level as what Ashton is doing right now. I was hoping for these two. He is MIA. That's why I was like, dude, this is it. I actually would have thought, Boise State should have beaten freaking because from what I know that Boise State always beats the Ducks. So for the Ducks to actually beat them this time around was kind of a little orthodox. So I think if the Broncos would have beaten them, this wouldn't have been wouldn't have been an issue. I think they would have been more in the conversation talks now, or the playoff conversation talks. They probably would have had that wrapped up. No one else could have figure them in or out of this. So it's just it's just nuts.
I think if they had beat Oregon, I think they'd be ranked maybe 7th or 8th. I think right in that range, because they don't have the strength of schedule as the big boys do, but like Texas or Alabama or anything. But Boise would be right in that mix, and a lot of it is on him. Can you name? I mean, we talked about the Matt Lauder, their tight end, last week for waivers, but can you really name anybody outside Ashton Genty on this team?
Not really.
Exactly, you can't. So there's a one-man operation here. Same with almost even Cam Ward's got more to work with in Miami. He's got more.
Well, he's got 3 wide receivers to freaking toss the ball to.
Yeah. So what Ashton, if Ashton doesn't have especially against a better maybe WAC team, I think what are they playing? Fresno State this week? They're going to whoop that ass. But if they're playing a better team, Ashton doesn't show up, they have no chance. They just don't. If he doesn't have his 186 and 3 touchdowns or 241 and 4 touchdowns, it's a one-man operation. This is some like Barry Sanders late 80s Oklahoma State shit. I mean, this is some all-time stuff. We're witnessing it's probably going to end up being one of the top 5 running back seasons ever in college football.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
It's
a little bit, it's a little weird to kind of see somebody with 1,000 yards already before the season's over with. It's like, dude, this guy's probably gonna get like I would be impressed if he ends up with 2,000 some odd yards. They were already talking about him matching. I think it was Barry Sanders.
Yeah, Barry Sanders in 1988. Yep.
Yep. So I'm just like, dude, if he could do that, my mind would be like, poof. My mind would be blowing.
2,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. I can't say the same for Miller Moss though, because he's on the opposite end of the spectrum. We were here, and now we wax on, wax off. Miyagi's son. Miller Moss, week 6 dud, losing to Minnesota. Where's I don't know if Bubba's watching it all or if he's working or whatever he's up to, but Bub's he's out in Minnesota. Bub's a proud Minnesotan, and he likes ragging on the Gophers as I do. But damn it, they look good. The defense showed up. They shut down USC. Miller Moss and Lincoln Riley had the audacity. Oh, he's my smartest quarterback ever. He's the smartest quarterback I've ever. This motherfucker had Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, even that damn Caleb Williams. Like, he's had all these guys, and this guy is his most tactful. I don't see it. 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, just very blah, very eh. There was probably some Jay. It was me just calling this guy out and kind of USC being fool's gold. Probably another 7-5 season, another mid, another shitty bowl game, another mid year for Lincoln Riley and USC. So it's more or less just me calling him out. There were probably some receivers that had 2 catches, like last week, Pat Bryant. There's probably some receivers that had 2 catches for 26 yards, or some running back that had 30 yards rushing or something. But I kind of want to just call out USC because they're frauds. They're frauds. That LSU win beginning of the year seems like it was fucking 10 years ago. Like, don't even remember that. LSU looks like a completely different team, and USC's went the other way. Like they
lost. Well, I mean, they lost freaking Williams and freaking Lloyd. So it's kind of like the only guy they got there is I can't think of his name now. He's a speedy little guy. Branch. They have Branch down there.
Yeah,
So I mean, he's kind of there. He's still kind of young. I mean, he's still kind of a freshman, sophomore. Yeah, he's still learning the offense, but he's a very explosive player that really hasn't really made much of an impact for them yet. I mean, he's got the talent there. He's kind of like his miniature like Tyreek Hill, but we haven't really seen a lot of that yet.
Kind of reminds me of Demario Douglas, who was at Liberty and then now at the Patriots. Kind of the same body type, same skill set.
Yep.
There's Bubs in there. Go Big Red. You damn right. They knocked off Rutgers. Nebraska's up to 5-1. So we'll in that Nebraska game, buddy, man, that's coming up. First weekend of November, man. We're headed down to Lincoln for. I wish Jay was coming too, but we're headed down to Lincoln for maybe some 8-1 Nebraska, 7-1 Nebraska. That'd be fucking awesome. Nebraska's been killing it. 7-2 maybe. So I mean, this would be a. UCLA ain't got nothing for him when that game comes up, but
I guess I guess we can't really bash like USC all that much. I mean, at least they got somewhat of a pass game to them compared to a lot of these other teams that are just more that really can't get the offense going, and all it is just a rush, and maybe a small little pass here and there, and back to rush. But I mean, at least they have a little something there. But I mean, it's not the greatest, but at least there's some kind of offense. At least we could say it's a little bit better than Michigan, anyways. At least.
Yeah, that's not saying much. But Michigan's setting offensive football back 70 years with that crap. With that garbage, that straight garbage that they're putting out there. I maybe we'll talk about Mullings, and a lot of guys have picked up Mullings. Let's just be honest. So. Sold out game. Yeah, you damn right it's sold out. Cornhusker, they're coming out, man. They're coming out. As long as they have one loss, and I'm going to say this for any Power 5 team, Power 4, whatever it is now. If you have one loss, you're still in it. That's how I see it. If you're an ACC school, if you're even like a team like Duke, like they're not going to, Duke will probably end up losing 4 or 5 games, but like they're still in it 5-1. If you have one loss or you're undefeated, you're still in it. And so Nebraska, Colorado, teams like K-State, teams like that, they're all still in it. Until you have that second, you can probably get away with 2 losses if you're a Texas or an Alabama, team like that's got some equity. But a team like Nebraska can't afford a second loss. So as long as they're staying where they're at, they're just fine. USC done. USC is done. I don't want to talk about them anymore. Michigan. I was just talking about Michigan before Bubs distracted me. Mullings has already been picked up by a lot of owners, so we probably won't be talking about him with waivers anymore. I don't see any of their receivers popping. I mean, come on now. What's their leading receiver going to have? 2 catches for 27 yards? Come on. Colston Loveland is kind of, they're actually more statistically way better tight ends than him this year.
So I guess they made a quarterback change, so maybe they might be irrelevant now. But
Jack Tuttle's gonna save the year. Jack Tuttle, who's been like a career backup, get out of here. I don't want to talk about Michigan again. I wonder if Vandy students are still on the bench from Saturday. Yeah, we didn't even talk about the Vanderbilt upset over Alabama because I don't care. I'm tired of talking about Alabama. I'm tired. Congratulations to Vanderbilt. Obviously, I mean that's a huge win for the school, beating number 1, but. Alabama, it's overkill. I've had enough of Michigan. I've had enough of USC, and I've had enough of Alabama. Let's talk about some interesting teams. You know what? One of the teams I thought was going to be interesting, Jay. Do you have anything? Do you have anything to close up on Miller Moss or USC or any of the duds of the week or anything?
I mean, I really haven't really been much of a fan of USC after this, after, Caleb Williams and stuff like that. I just kind of put a sour mouth or taste in my mouth. It just kind of like, yeah, it's
I'm all out of
unless,
wine. Otherwise,
until I
I'm
see
sucking down the
something,
taste for us.
until I see something different from them, they're the kind of like a team I'm not gonna be watching really,
Yeah, no, I don't, uh, you know, I don't think that I think they're gonna be 7-5, and they were 7-5 last year, and people were ragging, oh, they need to, and then they fired the D coordinator, and they're gonna keep doing all this goofy shit, getting a transfer quarterback, firing the D coordinator, firing the O coordinator, firing the offensive line coach. Sometimes you just look in the mirror, like Lincoln Riley's not that good. Sometimes you just need to look in the mirror, like maybe they need a new coach.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll fix things. Is it the blacklist time? Can I black out the screen?
Do it.
Can I black it out? There we go. I got the Sharpie. Okay, we're good. I'll put a little Picasso there. So the Arizona Wildcats, their record is 3-2, but they've looked a lot worse than that. Barely beat Northern Arizona. I think the second week of the year was like 22-10. I was watching the game on I think it was like FS1 or something. So they look bad there. T-Mac hasn't been T-Mac since probably the first or second game. So I know he's like the probably fourth or fifth leading receiver in the in yards wise, but a lot of that was the first couple games. Probably half his yards came the first 2 games of the year. So he really hasn't done, for his standards, he hasn't really done a lot the last 3 games. But a lot of it is on, I was going to say, Jay, a lot of it's on Noah Fifita. Like he was a fresh, or I guess he'd technically be I guess he's a redshirt sophomore, junior, whatever you want to call him, but he was a phenom. Last year was his first year starting. He was a phenom. Had 25 touchdowns, only 6 picks, completed over 72% of his passes. Obviously can't run the ball to save his life. I mean, he's talk about a immobile quarterback.
I got it. We have a Will Levis on our hands.
Oh God. Oh man. Does he like to look? Does he like to look in the mirror at his guns too, and throw interceptions, throw horrible overthrown passes and interceptions? I think I try to keep the NFL stuff off of here, but I think we've seen the last of Will Levis in Tennessee. They just made Drake May the starter with the Patriots over Brissett.
Yeah.
How long does it take for the Titans to put somebody in over Levis? Oh wait, they got rid of Malik Willis. What's he doing in Green Bay? Winning games, throwing touchdowns. But Fifita, he had a great year last year. He had 5 games over 20 fantasy points, and that was per FanDuel and DraftKings. That wasn't Fantrax, which we typically use. So, but I'm guessing Fantrax is similar with their point set as well. So come to this year. Look at this. He hasn't been as bad as Jalen Daniels from Kansas or even that bum DJU from Florida State. But he's just, I don't know, he's been shit in the bed. Completion percentage is down like 11 points. Only 7 you have T-Mac. You have T-Mac as your number 1 receiver, and they played a lot of shit. They played an FCS team. They played a lot of lower end FBS teams in 5 games, and you're telling me all you can chalk up is 7 touchdowns, 15 carries, 17 yards. So he's given you nothing in the rushing game. When a lot of these guys, we rip on Riley Leonard all the time, right, for his pass, 150 yards a game passing, but at least he's given you the rushing. At least he's giving you a couple rushing touchdowns a game. This guy ain't doing shit. His passing yards are, they're whatever average. What's he averaging? Like probably 260 a game, 265 a game, which is decent, passing yards, but no passing touchdowns, nothing in the rushing game. He's only had 1 game over 16 fantasy points, and that was against another shitty team, New Mexico. So they played New Mexico, Northern Arizona. Those were their big games of the year. Everybody else, they look like shit. Kansas State waxed them.
Yeah,
it's
just more of an uphill for these guys.
Jay, they got BYU coming up this weekend, so it's not going to get any better. I don't know if people have shares of this guy, but I would try to. I know he's, in Dynasty, it's tricky because he might come back the second half of the year or next year and be a stud. So it's tricky with Dynasty. But if you had him in like a redraft, year-to-year league, I'd get rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's better prospects out there, guy. Like Jay, the kid from JMU. I'd take him over Dynasty than him.
Alonzo Barnett, you damn right.
So here's their schedule coming up. They got BYU this weekend. They Colorado next. That might be a winnable game right there. West Virginia.
If he can't torch Colorado's shitty defense, I'm guessing that they'd probably put Travis Hunter on T-Mac or something, but like if he can't put up some stats there, it's time to cut bait. I mean, Colorado's probably the make or break game officially. I'm done with him, hence why he's on the blacklist. But keep going down. So we got BYU, Colorado. Who else does this team have?
We got West Virginia next, or at the end of the month, West Virginia.
Yeah, so you got one winnable game. One game where the defense isn't very good. Colorado, they should get waxed by BYU. BYU should take them to the cleaners this weekend. But Colorado and West Virginia. Like if you want to give this guy a little more of a leash because of what he did last year, because he had a damn good year. I understand it, but I'm out on him, and I'm not touching him for anything. I'm not touching him for parlays, nothing.
Yeah. So now here's the last 4 games of the year. Got UCF, that should be a win. UCF kind of sucks, kind of disappointed in that. Houston is a winnable game. They got TCU, and then they got Arizona for the last 2 weeks. There's TCU and Arizona State. Yep.
So the schedule isn't even that tough. It's like, come on, man. I would understand. Okay, if he was struggling against like Ohio State or Penn State's defense. I understand it, but it's like, dude, you have one of the best receivers in the country. You have a first round graded receiver. You have a T-Mac. T-Mac should not be struggling against any corners.
No.
He really shouldn't. There should probably be a couple that maybe Travis Hunter, because he might be a first round corner if he decides to play that position. But perfect timing with the Packer love, Donovan. Yeah, we had another guy talk about Army. At the perfect timing, Donovan comes in with the Packer love at the perfect time. 3-2, by the way, nice win over the Rams. We'll see where you guys go from there, but maybe T-Mac. Jay, maybe T-Mac replaces Christian Watson next year. Maybe the Packers draft.
God, that's horrible. That guy cannot stay healthy for the life of himself, dude.
No. He's fool's gold. If this was an NFL, you get rid of the little logos there, get rid of the Arizona, get rid of Noah Fifita. If you insert Christian Watson, he would be my NFL version of the blacklist. I'd be blacklisting his ass every goddamn week. I am out on Christian Watson. If anybody, I think I have him in one of the leagues. I'll put him out in the trading block. Come get him. I should ring the little bell. Good Lord. Any other thoughts? Sweet Jesus. Does anybody have any thoughts on Noah Fifita or anything Arizona related? If not, I've got my gavel. Watson is a bust. Oh, don't even get me started on the Deshaun Watson. That's another show. That's another show and another time. What I could say about that guy. He's awful.
I think it's time to hit some
gavel. All right.
I think it's time to hit some waivers.
I think it is too. Pow. There we go. So I try to mix it up, so we're not doing the same, because there's a lot of guys that have been hitting. They really have. A lot of guys have been putting up some decent stats from all across the FBS landscape. It's not always about the people you hear about on top. Okay, obviously Jordan James, Oregon's been a stud. We talk about Emeka Ibuka, wide receiver from Iowa State, 3 touchdowns. Guys like that, they're already owned. Okay, you're not going to get your hands on those guys. They're stashed away. You're not getting them. So we go with the next best thing. And then Jay's going to have his waivers, and he has a nice compiled list there. He's got I mean, it's like a wide, it's like Baskin Robbins. Okay, you've got 31 different flavors. Jay's got 31 different positions. You could fill out the whole damn team just listening to him. He'll have his sample of the defense, sample of the kickers, sample of receivers, running backs, everything. This week I'm going to start off with Ted Hurst. Not Hayden Hurst, but Ted Hurst, wide receiver from Georgia State. He's only 37% owned, 26% started, so you can pretty much get this guy in any size league. And those are the kind of guys I like. Especially with these buys coming up. Now, if this was like week 2, this might not be a guy that I would mention or go after. But with the buys here, it's week 7. You need plug and play guys, and I think he's one of the better ones.
Yes.
Jay, have you come across Ted Hurst at all?
We just talked about him. We just talked about him last week. Last week waivers. You should add him. He was on a bye. We talked about him. He saw double.
I know, dummy. We have new listeners. We have new listeners every week. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Whoops. So we have new listeners every week. So maybe they didn't hear me. So we talked about him. I made the same stupid joke last week that he was related to Hayden Hurst, and it didn't go over then, and it didn't go over now. But so basically, I kind of ripped Jay off, and I made him my number 1 this week because I thought it was a damn good idea, and he's been playing great.
Sweet Jesus.
Sweet Jesus, 2 plus 100, 2 plus 100-yard games the last 2 games. So he's been on fire. He's worth definitely looking into.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll give you my quick. Cause I got my notes here real quick. So he saw double-digit targets last week. 4 touchdowns since week 2. 4 touchdowns since week 2. You mentioned his 200-yard games. He's been seeing 12% of the target share. He's only 27% rostered, 5% started. But they're playing G5 teams the rest of the year now. So I mean, he's not a bad ad. I mean, what the heck is it? 20 points some odd. 20 points per game. It's not bad.
Yeah, if you can get a guy averaging 20 points a game against lesser competition for the rest of the year, sign me up, especially on my bench. There's got to be, if you guys start combing through your teams on the bench, you're going to find a receiver that's like, oh, this guy he's only averaging like 14 points a game. And then you can go and get a Ted Hurst and upgrade. That's what I look at. I'm like, I look at a lot of these guys as like bench guys. Maybe if they're good enough, maybe week, fill in bye week guys at this point. But I'm looking at the bench and how we can strengthen it. And a guy like Ted Hurst, I mean, there's got to be someone in your bench that Ted Hurst would be an upgrade for. But let's go to number 2. I told you I'd give you some Army love. Bryson Daly, quarterback. Yeah, hands up.
You're a thief. You're a thief. You took my guy too.
I'm taking them all. I swear we didn't coordinate. We wear the same shirt. We're thinking about the same players. I'm taking his players from last week. It's one of them weeks. No, 53% roster, 44% started.
I am McLovin.
I am McLovin. You damn right. Where are we looking at with Daly? Like, is he a back? Jay, I'm going to ask you, since you're the Daly expert on the 5-0 Army Black Knights.
Well, I guess I'll give you my thoughts on this guy here.
Jay, is he a fill starter, like for a bye week? Is he strictly a backup? Where does he fall in line? I have him number 2 this week.
All right. Well, I mean, I'll give you my. If you guys haven't, go over to X and you'll see my breakdown of Carson Daly over there of my top 5 guys.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna start calling him, Carson Daly.
So pretty
PRL,
much,
baby.
So Daly is actually an underrated dual threat in the AAC conference. A top 20 rated fantasy QB. 170 fantasy points on this season already. He actually has 78 fantasy points within the last 2 weeks. 7 touchdowns. Of those 7 touchdowns, 5 of them were rushing. 1 or 2 passing touchdowns up in there. He's averaging 34 points per game. He's actually second to the last guy that is averaging 30 some odd points a game, and he's only rostered in 33% of leagues. The next 2 weeks, he actually has UAB and ECU.
Yeah, and we talked about UAB's defense a couple weeks ago. How they can't stop a cold, like they can't stop a nosebleed. I like both those matchups, and Army's going to be 7-0, so it's not that crazy to think that Notre Dame game. I mean, that's going to be some big time stuff. That might be in our top 4 key games of the week. That I'd have to look at the schedule. You know what? Let me pull that up. I'm interested now. I'm interested. You caught my attention here. Army Notre Dame. Let's see. November 23rd. Okay. So we got some like back-to-back Navy and Notre Dame games. Ooh. Army could be ranked at that time too. Ooh.
So we might, so I mean if Army does maybe go undefeated and Boise State maybe loses another game in there, there might be a slim chance of Army Navy being in the playoff mix in here
for a playoff spot. Yeah. Oh man. Speaking of Notre Dame though, got number 3 now. We got Riley Leonard, and he's probably the most well-known guy out of this list. Notre Dame quarterback, transfer from Duke. We ripped on him a lot because he's Mr. 150 yards passing a game. But I mean, he's been scoring rushing touchdowns like they're going out of style. I think he's got 6 the last 3 games, if I have that correct. If you guys want to double check that stat for me, but 76% owned, 30% started, which means he's rostered quite a bit, but he's a backup. So you could either get him in a trade if you wanted to trade for Riley Leonard, or just straight up just go pick him up. Of the leagues that we do, he was available in only one of the 3. So he's going to be a little harder to get with the waivers, but he'd be a perfect candidate for a trade. Because I think a lot of people are stashing him on the bench, and because we didn't either. We don't trust his passing ability, but with when he's adding in that rushing, I mean, his points per game have just been shooting up through the roof the last 3 weeks. So been very impressed. Have you had any inclination to go and try to get yourself some shares of Riley Leonard, or?
No, actually, unfortunately, because I am pretty well set at quarterback here. So, I've got, I got 1 share of Cam Ward. I got 2 shares of McCord as well from Syracuse. So,
Kyle McCord's
yeah.
not a
So,
bad.
I mean, I'm set in a few leagues. I got one of Alabama's quarterbacks, so I think I'm fairly all right.
Jay's doing good, but how you doing is what I really want to know. I had some other guys in mind for number 4, but I couldn't bring myself to. I was like, where do we go with this? We're starting to run low. We're starting to run low on wide receiver, wide receivers and running backs. There's a surplus of quarterbacks, and we can't argue about that. There's a surplus of good quarterbacks out there on waivers. I mean, I don't think you should have any issue. If we had an injury like a Quinn Ewers situation where they get hurt for a couple weeks, if you need to go get a quarterback to back up quick or maybe possibly start, there's a ton of guys out there at quarterback. But where it starts to get thin is the other skill positions, tight end especially, running backs, wide receivers, starting to thin out a little bit. Jaden Nixon from Western Michigan. Have you come across him at all?
No, unfortunately, I'm going to be talking about another player on that same team too.
Western Michigan.
Yes. Oh, isn't this hilarious?
We didn't plan this. We didn't plan this shit. Oh my god. No, but he's had a pretty productive year. I mean, for an available guy, averaging 7 yards a carry, almost 500 yards rushing, 6 rushing touchdowns. Not giving you much in the receiving game. I think just about six catches, 50-something yards. But what I'm looking at is the last 3 weeks, and that's why I put Nixon 4. He could have been 1. I mean, what he's been doing the last 3 weeks, Jay, 6 rushing touchdowns the last 3 weeks. He's been averaging about 150 yards rushing. averaging about 8-9 yards a carry. So he's been tearing it up, and it should make sense because now he's in the conference play. He's playing the Marshalls of the world, the Ball States of the world. The first two games which he struggled were, obviously Ohio State. Everybody struggles against them, and Wisconsin. Like another Big Ten team.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Most definitely. Well, and so he's got an easy. The whole team in general, they actually have an easy schedule going forward.
They do.
They got all G5 teams.
That's probably why we're thinking Western Michigan. Go pick up some Western Michigan players. Like, damn, they got their the two hardest games are out of the way, and it should be smooth sailing. And Nixon, the last 3 weeks, that's right up there with Jaden or Ashton Genty's on a whole different planet. But his last 3 game stats probably puts him in the top 10 in FBS. Just for those 3 games with rushing. So he's been 6 touchdowns and over almost 500 yards rushing. Sign me up. I wish every 3 game stretch was like that. Jesus. And then the last guy, tight end Joe Royer. I actually had him on one of the teams earlier in the year, and I ended up dropping him because I needed, these tight ends. Beginning of the year, whatever. It could be a productivity thing, injury thing, just bye week, whatever it is. You end up kind of swapping through guys that are kind of in that mold. Like he's not an elite tight end, but he's higher up there. But Joe Royer, 53% roster, 35% started. Have you come across Royer at all?
No, I don't think so. I try to look at tight ends like every week after the week is over, like who's done something, who's gotten a touchdown, who's kind of gotten some double digit, fantasy points, related to, the tight end position. And, it's very scarce to kind of, we always kind of mention it every week that, the tight end position is always scarce when it comes to fantasy. It's just the same way as the NFL side of things. We're always looking and bragging about trying to find, just tight ends that actually, are involved in the offense, and it's always a struggle.
It's funny you say that because all 5 games this year, he has at least 6 targets. That doesn't mean he's got his receptions are 5, 3, 3, 2, 7. So he's not, not tearing it up in that aspect, but he's had some respectable games. He had, 5 catches, 89 yards, one game, 7 catches, 66 yards. Another game, 3 catches, 49 yards, a touchdown. And that's a good, that's against Pitt. Pitt and Texas Tech are 2 really good, solid teams. So, and he had a good game against Texas Tech and Pitt. I think a lot of their tougher games are out of the way. Like a term, Pitt might be. I know they're, I need a water break. Hold up. Much better.
Is their throat getting dry from all that bullshit over there, or what?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. No, but Sorsby, the quarterback, he's solid. So he's got a good quarterback throwing it to him. I think Royer would be a nice backup. Probably an upgrade over the guy you have on your bench. I don't think you need to start him or anything. A lot of these guys, I wouldn't immediately plug in unless it was like an emergency buy or something. But I think Royer
or if it's a good matchup that they're facing, with a defense that's allowing tons of passing yards and whatnot.
TCU.
There you go. Hey, maybe that's an option for you to stick him in playing ECU that week. Maybe hey, I guess it all comes down to as long as he's getting maybe 10% of the shares, or so at least he's for me, I guess if he's getting a little bit of the shares in there somewhere or another to actually be involved, I guess I'll be okay with that.
So those are my week 7 pickups. Jay, what do you got for me? Let me give you a little drum roll here.
All right, here we go. Oh, here we go. Oh, there we are.
What do we got? Ooh, we got
right.
Got a bunch of new guys up in here. I like this.
Right? Yeah, we got tons of them. Well, anyways, yes, we have quite a few guys up in here. Well, we can't talk about the guy, second pickup of the week because we already talked about him.
I ripped it off.
Eli ripped me off, so I was kind of like, what? But
I stole your bit.
Yeah, you did. you cracker. But yeah, we can let me blow this up here real quick. Yeah, Tony Walker, running back from the Wisconsin Badgers.
The badges. The
Yeah.
badges.
For here we go. Let me pop this up. I'll read this off for you. All right. So here we go. Walker is actually he's actually a hidden gem on the rise. For the last 2 weeks, he's put up 44 fantasy points. He's actually had 5 touchdowns within those 2 weeks. The only downfall with him is actually he's in an RBBC situation, but Walker has been seeing 32% of the carries there. So I mean, he's been the guy for them to actually run the ball for them. On season, he's only averaging about 16 points a game, which is not horrible. It's kind of in between being in a situation like that. But he's only 18% rostered and only 12% started. And I think he's on a rise. I mean, he's second on the team. He only plays 2 ranked teams this week, or not this week, but upcoming, which is Penn State and Oregon as well. But I mean, I don't really see him being an issue for being actually a replacement, really, honestly. So I mean, he's kind of a running back that's kind of up in the rise, and he's kind of a cowbell kind of guy. He doesn't really see a whole lot in the pass game, but I mean, he's a guy you can look at, and they're playing Rutgers, and I think this is going to be a ground and pound game in between both of these guys. I mean, Rutgers got their hands, beaten by the Huskies, or not the Huskers. So this might be a fun game to watch this upcoming week.
The Wisconsin back, the Wisconsin cheddar, We should see it. We should see if Donovan is interested in Walker. Maybe if Donovan's still tuning in, like maybe give him a little Wisconsin cheddar himself. But typical Wisconsin back. I mean, they're a feeding factory. It's kind of like Iowa and tight ends, and
pretty much.
I don't think you can go wrong. They've had different coaches, obviously, the last 20, 30 years, whatever. But there's always a productive Wisconsin back. I mean, that's like, yep, and that too. One of these guys right there. There you go. Rutgers, Rutgers could be a good matchup. So I don't mind him. I don't mind him being your number one this week, especially performing like that the last couple games. I mean, they've played USC. I'm trying to think of the. I'll be honest, I haven't paid a ton of attention to Wisconsin because they've had a down year.
Yeah,
I remember that USC game specifically, but I don't mind that. Daly too. What about Tyler Huff here? What about him?
Yes, he's actually on TV right now. The score is actually 26-6 right now, which is kind of surprising for me because usually New Mexico State is more of a run heavy team. They're always running all over you, or I would have thought would have been a little bit more of a closer game, but it's not. Tyler Huff, Jacksonville State. He's pretty much your second to last 30 points quarterback available, capable of rushing upside with not to mention, kind of, the same as, Daly over there. They're kind of similar quarterbacks. Huff is actually 29th overall in fantasy points right now in the season. Downside, 16% rostered, only 12% started in them. But the last 2 weeks, 77 fantasy points, which is not a bad thing at all if you're thinking about these dual threat quarterbacks. I mean, 77 odd fantasy points, within 2 weeks. That's quite a bit.
They might be missing the boat. I mean, you might want to put in a waiver claim tonight after the game. Huff's got 191 yards, a touchdown on the ground, 19 yards rushing. So, and we're only, I think it's just before halftime. So
yeah, it's getting pretty close. So I'll finish up here. Within the last 2 weeks, he has 5 touchdowns, one of them being a passing touchdown. But Huff brings that dual threat to his game. They have New Mexico, which they're playing right now, unfortunately. So I'm like, hey, if you need it, if you need a fantasy win, is Huff your savior?
Could be.
Maybe. Very well
Claiborne.
possible.
Ho! Come on, Claiborne. Ho!
Yes, Claiborne, running back from Wake Forest. Unfortunately, they got Clemson on the schedule, which is gonna be. I'm like, ugh. But he's actually seeing 60% of the rush carries with Wake Forest. 57% rostered, only 44% started. Within the last 2 weeks, 53 fantasy points. He's got 6 touchdowns on this season, which is, he's more of the cowbell kind of running back. Not really much in the passing game. He does have 1 touchdown in the pass game, but he's more your, run between the tackles kind of guy. But they do play Clemson. They're 78th overall and giving up a lot of rush yards. They're averaging like 150 some odd rush yards they're giving up. So Claiborne might just be like, hey, see you guys later. Might have a nice 100-yard game. Maybe a couple touchdowns up in there. Not a bad option if you're looking for a running back.
I was looking at him too. Obviously, I think Nixon, just with his last 3 games, was a clear cut for me. But if I expanded the list to like a 10, he'd probably be my second or third running back to pick up as well. So that's a good spot for Claiborne. I've been eyeing him too.
Yep. So with the next 2, 5, and 6 here, we got Jerjon Newton from Toledo.
John Newton, ooh.
Yeah,
baby.
5 touchdowns on the season. 16. He's getting 16% of the offense target share. 18.2 fantasy points per game. He's got a touchdown in every game so far, but 1. And they got an easy schedule going forward. They got a lot of G5 teams going forward, and like I just said, he's had a touchdown in every game, but the West Kentucky game, which is the Hilltoppers. I mean, for a guy that's a little bit under, I think he was like 30 some percent or a little bit under. He's under the 50% rostered, so very little rostered. A guy that's averaging 18 points per game. Sign me up, because we need all the fantasy points we can get, and the Toledo being a MAC team and playing G5 teams, and it's not a bad option in my eyes.
I like, we go back to the whole, I like when the the G5 teams, they get their big boys out of the way, and then towards the last 7 games of the year, it's a lot of conference, a lot of teams that they're a lot of teams that have the same NIL budget, the same so Toledo's going to be they're not going to be facing, they didn't play Ohio State, but you get my point. Like they weren't, they're not going to be playing Penn States and Ohio States and Texases. They're going to be playing the people on their level in the MAC. So Newton. I think he'd probably be 5th or 6th on my list of running backs, but I don't mind if you want to put him 5, or I guess he'd be 3rd in your list here. That's fine.
Yeah. And then we have Aaron Anderson from LSU, 13% target share. I mean, he is consistently getting double-digit fantasy points every week. I mean, he's kind of more of your touchdown dependent, only because there's so many mouths to feed in his offense. But I mean, if you need somebody, I mean, he's a guy to do it. I mean, he's touchdown dependent, but a guy who's getting you double-digit fantasy points every week. I do not mind that one bit at all. I mean, so that's only going to be the only downfall of that. LSU has been a pass heavy, pretty much offense. They really haven't been, they really don't really have a lot of, guys coming out of the backfield, just tearing it up.
Jay, I was going to say quick, I didn't know Toledo was 4-1.
Right?
I was looking at that in that Western Kentucky game. They were up. Western Kentucky made a 4th quarter comeback there. So I mean, Toledo could have been a G5 school. We'd be talking, if they were 5-0, they could be in the Army and Navy discussion too. So I mean, Toledo, hell yeah. I didn't know they were that good.
But so pretty much Anderson is 26% rostered, only 14% started. They do got Ole Miss and Arkansas on the table, but with games like that, games like that are going to be a little bit more of your pass heavy games a little bit more than likely. A little rushing up in there to try to slow the, depends on if they got the lead, they'll try to slow it down with the rush game. But once the game gets going, I mean, bust open. I mean, LSU is always known for their wide receivers, and they actually had a transfer come in too as well. I think it was
Anderson now. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, is that the next freaking Neighbors and Thomas duo?
Jefferson and Chase.
Right?
Maybe not that far.
Yeah. All right. So we got so the last three spots there are pretty much tight end, kicker, defense.
Blake Bosman. Ooh.
Yeah, Broncos, which is kind of crazy to talk about. Only 2% rostered, 1% started. He's seen double digits the last 2 games of the week with a touchdown in each of those games. They have Akron next here. And they're also, they're also playing G5 teams the rest of the season too. So I mean, a lot of them are kind of mediocre G5 teams. But 13% of the target share, and he is the second option on this team. And the other guys are not really doing a whole lot. So I mean, I can see a little rise with Blake Bosman. I think I kind of flopped around the name there. I kind of goofed that up when I was trying to do my notes and stuff. So
he keeps Jay, he keeps hitting like this. We can call him whatever the hell we want.
Right?
He keeps putting up stat lines. Yeah, he keeps putting up stat lines like that.
Yeah. But yeah, so pretty much Nolan Hajjar, 53 fantasy points. And I mean, if you need a kicker, if Clemson is, kind of getting those games or not really, the offense is really kind of getting going. Nolan is a guy who can, kick the ball really, really well. He's already gotten like three or four like beyond the 40-yard line already. So I mean, his average is really well. So I mean, if you're looking for a kicker, they're playing Wake Forest, so if they're not really doing anything against Wake, he's a guy to look at. I know we mentioned quite a few other kickers that actually been kicking well this year. So if you guys haven't or missed a lot of this, I do have these waiver graphics pinned at the top of my X as well. You just have to scroll through the tweets there. So they're always tweeted out every early morning Tuesday. So they're always out there. So you can go back at, even last week and look at all the tight ends, kickers, and even I actually had freaking Tulane as a defense to pick up before they were on bye. So I think they're off bye. So they're upcoming. So they're a defense you may want to look at for this week too, because they got easy teams going forward too as well. And the other team on hand here is BYU. I mean, a 6-0 team, and they actually got some good matchups going forward too as well. So I was like, ooh, BYU, I actually don't mind it actually. So I was like, they're a team that actually can get to the quarterback. I know they got quite a few sacks on the season already, which I don't mind one bit at all. So I mean, when you're looking at defenses, you want to look at teams that are getting takeaways, sacks, is mostly what it comes down to. Maybe like a little, touchdown in there here and there. But BYU is not a bad option if you are looking for a defense of team.
Jay, playing Arizona the way Noah Fifita's been playing,
right?
T-Mac's already he's got his luggage, he got his bags packed for the NFL. He's like, fuck this shit. Like, my quarterback's garbage. Running backs have disappeared. Like, the running backs were supposed to be one of the strengths of the team like earlier in the year, and I think they've injuries or productivity. I don't know. Arizona just been very disappointing, and they got like 6-6 written all over them. And BYU is just going to wax them. And that defense, yeah. If you're in a need for a defense, how we talked about UNLV last week. They kind of let us down against Syracuse, but that was a lot of Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord's an absolute beast. And that's I underestimated that Syracuse offense against UNLV this week. I mean, this is a surefire bet. I'll tell you that right now. BYU is going to whack. They're going to go into Arizona. They're going to wax them.
Yeah.
Defense is going to be sacking, picking, destroying.
Yep. And I do have one more notable guy that is not actually on this list, but is actually on my top
honorary mention.
So he is a Western Kentucky guy. Keyshawn Johnson, Hilltopper. He's coming off a 6-week bye, but shouldn't be your last option. He is actually
not the Keyshawn Johnson, but Keyshawn.
He shouldn't be your last option wide receiver. He is actually a top 36 wide receiver on this season, which is crazy. With his upcoming opponents, he's got UTEP, Sam Houston, so likely some notable games for him to just light it up. 15% share of 15% share. He's kind of got that boomer bust mentality to him, and within the last 2 weeks, he's had a total of 4 touchdowns, which is not bad. You want touchdowns when it comes to these guys. So the last 2 weeks he's put up in 37 fantasy points the last 2 weeks. He's 52% rostered, 24% rostered or started, and he's averaging about 18.7. So he's a notable guy you might want to take a look at there.
Yeah, and at this point, you take all the receiving depth that you can because like it's slim pickings now. At least in my estimate, what I've come across, tight ends, running backs, quarterbacks should be just fine.
Yeah.
Everybody else, when you can come across a guy averaging between 18 to 21 points a game, you should try to make that happen. Make a connection like it's Tinder.
So those are Eli's and mine waiver pickups ads.
Yeah.
There might be some of these guys that might be still out there where nobody has really made any moves, so you can go out there and take a look, and maybe if you need to make some roster moves, pick some of these guys up.
Jay, you know what it's time for? I'm gonna need you to cue that up for me, big boy. You know what it's time for? Make some money. A little bit of money. You know what? Now we're doing it Miami Vice style. I'm in the jungle. I feel like I'm in the jungle or at Kmart. I don't know. That's a closed store for you youngins. They don't exist anymore. But I did a Saturday pick 6, which is kind of an eclectic. It's kind of a variety of guys from all throughout the day. Could be morning, because DraftKings does hey, you can do this segment. You can do 11 a.m. games. You can do the 2:30 games. You can do the night games. The late night games. So I kind of did a mismatch of a bunch of different players at different times throughout the day. So you can kind of piece it together however you want. Because 5 are free, the 6th is on you. That's our tagline. I'll see what Jay thinks. I'll go through the 5 and see if he has any takes on any of these. George, you know what? I think yes, I do think I'm gonna start with Shedeur Sanders. I was thinking about it for a second. I'm gonna go with Shedeur Sanders because he's the only one I'm going under him. I'm taking that that Arizona State trident, a little logo. I'm sticking him to him because he ain't getting 2.5 passing touchdowns against K-State.
Are you nuts?
They might win that game. He might have a lot of passing yards. Probably will have a lot of passing yards. I think Shedeur is only going to have 2 touchdowns. I think he's gonna disappoint some folks. I think he's the only under I see on the list. So I thought that was one of the best plays. Jordan James, Oregon, number 1. He's been in beast mode lately, making people forget about Bucky Irving. I mean, let's the call. The cards fall where they may. Tore it up last week. Got a big game against Ohio State. Can't wait. I think he's better than Judkins. Ohio State's feature back. So I think James is going to light him up. I think he's going to have another 100-yard game. I do. Even on Ohio State's defense, I think he's going to have another 100-yard game. So I'm taking the over on 74.5. Denzel Boston, who's a kid we've been talking about. I know some other shows have been talking about him. He's not quite Roma Dunze, but I mean he's been very impressive this year. And Washington's coming on. I'm starting to warm up to Washington. At first, I was like, "What the hell is this?" Post Kalen DeBoer, post Penix and all those guys. But Will Rogers has been a nice transfer over from Mississippi State. Jonah Coleman, you guys know I'm a huge fan of his. Denzel Boston. I don't think it's that much. I don't think it's that crazy to say he's going to go over 55.5 yards receiving. that's very doable. Like,
No, it is.
they're playing Iowa's defense. I don't give a damn. Like, he's been tearing up everybody lately. So I think Boston has, I think it even 60 yards. You win. If he could have 58 yards. As long as he gets over that mark, you win. That's one of your parlays. Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. I think every game this year, I think except one. I think he had one game that was like 285. Every other game has been over 300 yards this year. So I'm going to take the over on 297.5 because I don't think Ole Miss's defense is that great. So I think Nussmeier continues, has another 300-yard game. I think LSU wins. I think they beat Ole Miss, and that's actually in one of our games on the bottom there. So if you want to bet on that, or if you want to bet on Nussmeier. And then the last guy, Jalen Milroe from Alabama, I'm going to take the over on 238.5 passing yards. I think that's very reasonable. I could see a 250 game from Jalen, absolutely. So those are my 5 for the week. 5 free, 1's on you. What do you think, big boy?
I would go Boston with a receiving touchdown up in there if you don't like the 55, because there's a great opportunity for him to get a touchdown up in this game.
He's been a touchdown, Jay. He's been a touchdown monster. That's not a bad pick at all.
Yeah, no, I went. I usually kind of been going, touchdown with him if I do kind of go with him. Milroe, I mean, he's kind of that dual threat kind of guy. I mean, if you don't like the passing, you can always, the other option is actually doing either a passing touchdown in there, whatever that might be. If it's 1 or 2, I might go 1.5 with that, maybe, maybe 2 if you at most, or the rushing upside with maybe the 0.5 rushing. So I mean, there's a little bit of flexibility with this guy, and if it came to it, I'd probably go with the rushing myself, honestly. Especially if they're in the red zone, he might just have taken it himself. So there's your
absolutely.
So there's your rushing touchdown right there. Sanders.
What about Nussmeier?
I really haven't had a chance to really see much of Nussmeier. Really, I just know he airs it out quite a bit. I mean, the only other thing, I guess, if it comes to it, unfortunately, fucking Sleeper does not even have Nussmeier as an option. So screw you, Sleeper. Fuck you.
Yeah, right. One of these weeks, I'm gonna switch over. I'm gonna come to I'm in the light right now. Dark side, I'm gonna do a sleeper. I'll do a sleeper just to mix it up a little bit. Maybe FanDuel or sleeper. Kind of change it up a little bit with the parlays, prize picks, whatever.
Yeah, Nussmeier. I don't know. I'm not sure if he. I know I've done a couple quarterbacks with the passing yards, and I'm kind of like hesitant. I'm like, I'd rather see the versatility of maybe a touchdown where these guys are throwing touchdowns, or maybe if you're rushing a little bit, some of that, or if they have to scramble a little bit, so I kind of look at that a little bit more than, I kind of like the yards. And I guess if they're playing a weaker, smaller team, that might be a small chance, or maybe a bigger game they might be in there, or that there's a chance of higher passing yards. Sanders, I really don't really care too much about, I guess. And if he's getting tackled all the time, there's no way in hell he's going to be getting 3 touchdowns for that prop anyways. And the Ducks, I mean, if the Ducks can get their shit together, and they haven't really been that high power offense we've really seen, but I mean, the run game is not a bad option. Slowly but surely.
All year. Tez Johnson, he's been the big 3. They're gonna come out, man. They're gonna surprise some people, and I could see an overtime game with Ohio State. I don't know. I wouldn't bet that they're gonna win, but I could see either a maybe less than 5-point kind of game or an overtime game. So, Oregon's going to hang toe-to-toe with these guys for sure. And so I think you're going to see a lot of productivity from, all the boys, Gabriel, Tez, Jordan James. So I think Oregon's going to I think that's going to be a great game. If you want, get your popcorn ready, get your shit out of the way earlier in the day, so you can sit back, go to a bar, whatever, sit at home, order a pizza, mix up a cocktail, whatever. Saturday night, parked in front of the TV. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Oregon.
Oh yeah. So I mean, we're getting pretty close to we just got a couple more segments here. We're gonna talk our squad blitz. We're gonna talk a little bit about that quick, and then we will we got notable guys to watch quick too as well. And then to kind of wrap up the show, we'll just jump in for the notable games to watch.
Yep. Do you want to do squad blitz, Jay?
Yeah, sure. That is fine with me.
All right. What we got here? I actually won last week. I needed that. Got the 2-4. So, world's smallest violin. A little golf clap for Eli. I saved my season. So we're gonna need one more to get to 3-4 because I can't go to 2-5. That might be curtains for my playoff chances. But Squad Blitz guys, I think we're their featured content creators of the weeks. They're great people over on Squad Blitz. Be a part of that. It's just a different experience. Like we say every week, it's a different fantasy experience. You're not so dependent on one player. It's about units.
Yeah.
Texas A&M. I always say that about Texas A&M. Like they're one of the best rushing units. Do they have a top back in the country? No, they don't. They don't even have a top 10, top 15 back. So Indiana, same thing. A lot of it's Rourke, the quarterback, and just a collection of running backs, and so that makes them lethal. Army, same thing. You don't have to have an individual who's an elite passer, receiver, anything. So I love this, and I love my lineup this week. I think I'm gonna surprise my compadre over there that I'm facing. I don't know, Pitt, our boy Eli Holstein in the Pitt passing attack. I like that. Jay, I had 4 buys this week. I had to do some 4 of my 8 teams were on buys, so I had to do some mixing and mashing. Had to get rid of a couple teams I feel bad about. Texas A&M had to drop them. Sorry, South Alabama had to drop them. Had to transfer them.
That's rough.
Well, it is. But that's on me for not lining up my teams with the buys. But so we got Louisville. They're about 142 passing yards or points a game, or for the season, 142 passing points. Pitt's about 169. I like both of them coming up this weekend. Notre Dame, yeah. So Pitt's playing Cal, and then Louisville's playing Virginia. So two winnable games. 2 games I think that both passing attacks should maintain what they've been doing. Notre Dame, the rush, mainly the rushing attack. Let's just be honest, is Love, the running back Love, and then Riley Leonard. So if Riley Leonard keeps doing what he's been doing, I think Notre Dame's rushing attack will be just fine. And then my boy Phil Maffa and the Clemson attack, I'm using them over here because their defense isn't as strong as the 2 smaller schools at the end, the G5 schools. So I went with Clemson in the rushing there. And then the last 2 schools were actually my transfers. These were teams that haven't been on my roster at all this year. Coastal Carolina, they're playing your boys at James Madison, JMU. So
that's going to be a high scoring.
Yeah,
it might be a high scoring game.
But they were the best. So for all the teams you could pick up, Coastal Carolina had 126 defensive points, which basically made them the best available defensive team. So I kind of just went with that there. I know it's not a great matchup, especially against Barnett, but we'll play our cards there. And then Eastern Michigan, that big E there. I mean, that's the simplest logo you'll ever see. Maybe I should use that. Maybe I should just have a big E as my logo. Yeah. Eastern Michigan Eagles playing it's a bird matchup. Miami of Ohio and the Hawks. Going up against the Eagles here. Eastern Michigan, they were the second best defensive team available at 124 points. So took them as well. So basically took the best 2 defensive squads off the free agent market and swapped them out with South Alabama and Texas A&M. Texas A&M, I feel South Alabama, I might be able to get back. Donovan, Squad Blitz, a pace side or free? No, it's free. It's free. Look at this. Look, Donovan. Look at this. Jared. Used to be the Hurons. Was it some of that woke stuff? Did they offend somebody with the Hurons? We have a city in South Dakota called Huron. So
yeah,
I don't but Eagle is a good name too. But yeah, so you start from the beginning here. Let's go to Squad Blitz. Boom. There's the app right there, baby. Look at that. Okay.
There you go.
Don't look at my horrible record, 2-4. Lori,
Sweet Jesus.
sweet Jesus. This is kind of the app here, and then we're gonna hit update, and then this is kind of where you could swap out your teams. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you hit that little circle button there, and then you go and select team, and then it's basically your list of options are so it's a total of 8 teams. And you have 2 on the bench, and then you start 6, and then you switch them up. So you'll use like 2 passing, 2 rushing, and 2 defense, and then you'll have 2. In my situation, because I was a fucking idiot, I had 4 buys this week. What? I said 4 buys this week, so I had to do some maneuvering. When I had to do some maneuvering, so I need the point. I'm 2-4, Donovan. I'm 2-4. I had to have the points. And so that you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. I don't care, you know, I don't care at that point. I can't not have, you know, 2 teams available to me. So but Texas A&M could definitely be picked. Jay's a shark. Jay will probably go pick up Texas A&M himself. Yeah, yeah, right there. Yeah.
Oh no,
But,
so Donovan,
what do you
it's pretty
think? What do you
much.
think of the team here?
I don't mind it one bit. I mean, dude, I love Pitt. I mean, I watched the North Carolina game and freaking, you
It's
know,
great.
Desmond was just freaking running all over them.
Desmond Reed is a monster.
I'm like, oh my god, dude, it was freaking nuts, dude. I was just, you know, I mean, North Carolina kind of stayed in it a little bit, but I mean,
Jay, he was
was looking
he was a
good
free
though.
agent. Probably what, the first 3, maybe 4 weeks of the year, Desmond Reed was a free agent. Like, to think that you could have had this guy for nothing, and now he, you know, you can't get him now. I mean, you can't even trade for him now. But like, it's crazy. It's crazy how much he's increased his stock in what, 5 games.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, he's one of those dual threat kind of running backs. You know, he can catch right out of the backfield, and just, I mean, he can take it right to the house. And like,
Yeah.
dude, this guy's quick, nimble, and I mean, he can get through these through the secondary pretty damn quick.
He would be getting more national pub if it wasn't for Ashton Genty.
Oh,
Desmond Reed would be more of a household name than he is, you know. But you know, obviously Genty's, you know, clogging up all the lanes. But what about your team? Do you have any teams that you probably still have to set your team yet? But are there anybody that stands out to you on your roster? You're like, okay, I think this would be a good play at passing. This might be a good play at rushing. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's still kind of there. It's still kind of the same. I didn't get a chance to update it yet, but I mean, I did lose. I mean, I did pick. I don't remember if I did pick up anybody or not, last week or not. But I mean, I did play, you know, San Jose. I think I did. I picked up a different defense. I think I did play USC. They got their asses handed to them. I did play Minnesota. I mean, they kind of helped me out a little bit. And I don't remember who I had for my rushing guys last week or not, but I know I got a bunch of buys up in here, which is not going to be fun for me because, you know, TCU's on bye, Michigan's on bye. I mean, I got Illinois and I got Utah there. Utah's coming off their bye. Maybe I slot, you know, Utah up in the rushing game because that's all they got right now. That's all they can do. So I think I might just have to do Utah up in that in my rushing. I think I did drop Arkansas because I had to pick up somebody. So maybe if Arkansas is out there, maybe I have to go and maybe try to pick them up again. Oh, actually, never mind. I do got Arkansas. I was actually looked the wrong thing here, but they're on bye, so I have to try to go pick up somebody else for, you know, a rushing team or something along those lines.
Well, you said you need is rushing your biggest need?
Well, yeah, I got Utah. I mean, Minnesota is not really quite. I mean, they're kind of here and there. They're kind of Minnesota's not. They're more of a defensive team, so I'll probably just keep them there. It's more I kind of need to find a rushing team and maybe a pass. You know, maybe Illinois I can stick in passing, but I mean, if they have to get touchdowns this week, that's the only downfall with that. But I mean, other than that, that's kind of my lineup.
West Virginia is available, and they have almost 172 rushing points. So West Virginia might be an option at
because
there's
Green.
A lot of buys. Yeah, it's a lot of buys. Arizona State, but they're playing Utah, Florida Atlantic. These are all teams above 157.
Yeah, Florida. Oh, FIU played last night, and yeah, I have to look. I was pretty much trying to do a lot of other stuff, so I'm like, I haven't had a chance to do my squad blitz yet. So
I might have found your passing here. Right
Ooh.
there. I think Cincinnati.
Oh,
we were
Cincinnati, huh?
we were just talking about. You said I was shooting. You said I was saying bullshit. I was coughing up the bullshit. I was trying to help you out. Royer at the tight end, Sorsby the quarterback. Headbang that shit. They're playing UCF. UCF's been a huge disappointment. So
yeah, they have been. So
expectation.
that might be a good option. I mean, UCF. I was hoping for more of a high hopes from them, and Jefferson has really shit the bed for me. I was kind of I thought maybe he'd be a little bit more air raid, and I really have not seen that. He's been taking way too many sacks, and he's just been looking not really great with the ball. So I'm like,
can't read a defense.
So
yeah, I said it. Can't read a defense.
So yeah, I'm not quite happy with that guy. So yeah.
So those are our squad blitz teams, and I'm glad Donovan asked that question. Anybody else, that wants to chime in or ask questions about it? The squad blitz guys, they'll help you out. We'll help you out.
Yeah,
it's fun to tell.
Squad Blitz is they're kind of a mom and pop kind of app. They don't have a website yet. I mean, they're kind of they're still kind of working on the app too. I mean, they're they're getting insight from like me or Eli. They have a Discord channel. You give them some insights and stuff like that, so they can better put the app out there.
Improve the experience and the product.
Yep. So I mean, this is their first year doing it. I think because it was funny because I posted one of my graphics and I'm like, oh, Squad Blitz. I didn't really hear about them. I'm like, what the hell is Squad Blitz? And I ended up messaging, giving them a message, kind of talking to them, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll jump in and try something a little bit different to Squad Blitz, and try something a little bit different. And it's not a bad experience for kind of a mom and pop kind of app that could be something that could be grown over the future. So I mean, if you want to get on into it now and kind of be a pioneer of this app, I mean, why not?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's like I said, different experience from the traditional fantasy, and so we all like to alter our minds a little bit. So we'll leave it at that. You know what? Let's look at 6 players to watch for week 7 here. I heard. Okay, so normally I do the injury report on the bottom. I put different I put like leaders in this week, like passing, receiving, rushing leaders. So normally I try to put in injury updates just to give guys a heads up, like who might be out, or if a guy on your bench, or maybe maybe a big name is out or something. But so Quinn Ewers, from what I've been hearing, should be starting against Oklahoma. But that could be a game time thing. With Arch Manning's been tearing it up. I mean, let's just be honest. So I think it's a good situation to have. I mean, you have 2 really good quarterbacks. There's some teams that don't have one. Florida State. So there's some shit operations out there that don't even have one. So Donovan, I need to create a league. If anyone wants to jump in, let me know. Find me on the Discord. Yeah. Oh hell yeah. Yeah, we'll play.
Yeah,
we'll play.
Yeah, more
the merrier.
Right?
We're always, yeah, hell yeah. But I'll close out my point here on Quinn Ewers. I'm interested to know or to see, is he going to come out guns blazing? If he's still the injury's lingering, or he's not quite right, I could, okay, they're talented enough, Jay. They should just beat Oklahoma straight up, even without great quarterback play that game. Like if Quinn Ewers wasn't quite right, but the problem with having a really good backup is like they'll. I mean, Arch Manning's already proven himself. I mean, I think there'll be a quick trigger. I mean, if Quinn Ewers, as good as he's been, possibly a first, second round, NFL quarterback, I don't know. Maybe he could head back to the bench. He better show up here against Oklahoma, have a big game. League's created and called "Better Late Than Never." Yeah, it's a great name. What do you think about Quinn Ewers against Oklahoma here?
Dude, this is I think this is gonna be a game to watch. We'll kind of talk about too.
Yep.
It's this is always a big rivalry between these two teams, and I guess out of the two teams, I guess I don't remember who wins a lot of. I think Texas usually ends up winning most of them, but I don't know the record between like how many games Texas won or the Sooners won. So I mean I think it's gonna come down to, who wants it more. I mean, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a very loud game, and if yours is still kinda banged up, I mean, I don't see why not put in little Manning to, if they wanna keep this number 1, keep the number 1, ranked team overall, keep that,
Keep the train on the track. Yeah, keep the train on
yeah,
the tracks.
they
I
might have if he doesn't look good, I mean, I would make the swap right away to,
Rip
like,
that
if they want
Garch.
that playoff run if they want that playoff run, stay in the mix, they might have to make some changes in case, yours does not look good right away.
Yeah, yeah, they're the front runner right now to win the national championship. You can't. I mean, they've had what that Vince Young team in '05. Other than that, I mean, was probably like the 1970s the last time they won a national championship. So when you're in a rare situation like Texas doesn't always win national championships. You can't fuck this up. So if you need to put Arch in there, you do it. BYU, BYU's been our sexy pick the last, probably week. I've fallen in love with them. Jay has too.
Yeah.
Jake Retzloff, he hasn't been tearing it up. Like he hasn't been having 350 and 4 touchdowns like some of these crazy quarterbacks. He hasn't been having these crazy games, but I mean he's just been effective. BYU's defense has been really good. They're a solid team all around. But Retzloff, he could use a game to kind of like, hey, I'm a good quarterback too. He needs to like, put his stamp on something. I think like maybe a 260 and a 3 touchdown game would do that for him. So and against Arizona is just dead in the water. I mean, they really are. They got 6-6 written all over them. If the quarterback's lifeless, like T-Mac, he's just counting the days. He won't play in the bowl game. No name December 20th game. He doesn't give a shit. I don't know. Arizona, the head coach, he's casual. He wears like Hawaiian shirts that, he's a very casual guy. Like, yeah. Well, BYU casual this ass because BYU is gonna kill him. Jake Retzloff, big game here. Phil Maffa and Clemson playing Wake Forest. I was trying to tell the boys a couple nights ago that with Chris and those guys, I was trying to tell them like you got they were trying to like he's overrated. No, Phil Maffa is underrated and doesn't do a lot in the receiving game. But when it comes to rush between the tackles and being a bell cow, Phil Maffa's my guy. And against Wake Forest, I think Clemson is going to dominate. I think Phil Maffa is going to have another 100+ yard game. And so I'm watching out for him. Let's see. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on Retzloff or Maffa at all in their matchups?
I was just gonna say for the Retzloff is they'll actually have to get Chase going. He's their guy. He's their number. I mean, I kind of been noticing him the year before, but they have to get him going early. If they don't, I mean, they're not gonna have a chance against Arizona. I mean, Arizona already know McMillan there. They can actually just toss all over this team. I mean, if they have to get something going.
Well, Noah Fifita, I don't think he can toss all over anybody right now.
If you get it to T-Mac, he's gonna be doing something. So they're gonna have to stay in the game. I mean, they're gonna have to be able to shut these guys down as quick as fast as they can if they're gonna want to come out with this win.
Yeah, no, agree there. So we got Maffa dominating against Wake Forest. I'll be interested to see Cameron Scatabo. It sounds like the Scat Man.
I call him Scataboo.
Scataboo.
He reminds me of the kid from UCLA that's was drafted. Yeah, he reminds me of Carson. He reminds me of like a little bit. He's kind of one of those kind of guys. He plays pretty well, but will he get drafted? That's the thing.
That's hilarious. His hair matches. His hair is like dark red. It matches the number on the Arizona State jersey. But Utah's right for the pickings. Arizona State's solid. They're not world beaters or anything, but I wouldn't be shocked if they beat number 16 Utah. And Scatabo had another big game. He's one of the leading rushers. I forget where he ranks, but I think it's in the top, definitely in the top 10 for rushing yards. But no,
I can find that out for you here in a second.
go and look that up. But he's been a surprise. I mean, when you look at some of the names at the top, you're like, Cameron Scatabo, what? Where the hell did he come from? While Jay's looking that up, I'll talk about Iowa State, Jaden Higgins. Iowa State, up to number 11. There, Noel Higgins, two dynamic receivers. I love it. I think Higgins going to have another 100+ yard game against West Virginia. I think another win in the column for Iowa State. Keep that undefeated record unblemished. And then the last one, Ohio State, Oregon, probably the game of the week. I'm going to give some love to Emeka Egbuka. We haven't talked about him all year because he hasn't been playing that well up to his standards. Had 3 touchdowns last week, and he's going to need all of that against Oregon. I mean, it's going to be fighting fire with fire to beat the Ducks. So Emeka Egbuka, I'm going to be looking out for him to see if he can replicate that 3 touchdown game. What'd you find out for me, Jay, about Scatabo?
I was working on it. Freaking Fantrax is kind of slow.
Did you have any thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on Jaden Higgins against West Virginia or Egbuka against Oregon?
When we think about the Iowa State offense, I mean, you got 2 guys that are great. We got Noel and Higgins, and a lot of times it's kind of a hit miss on which guy actually will get the touchdown. I mean, both these guys are effective. They have a good running back on this team, and I really don't see why Iowa State does not beat West Virginia. And
Jay, he's number 6. Scatabo is the 6th leading rusher in FBS.
Oh, well, that and I was going to try to look at like total like fantasy points in general, to see what he was. Yeah.
At least I'm not sure about the fantasy point or the touchdown, but at least rushing wise, like yard wise, he's been a surprise guy. Definitely not a guy that I mean, Taj Brooks from Texas Tech, we expected that. Ashton Genty, of course. Amari Hampton from UNC. Those are the guys we expected, not Scatabo, but he'll be a big if Arizona State wins that game against Utah, he'll be have a huge hand in that.
Yeah, I think we talked about Le'Veon Moss too. I think we talked about him too.
I think earlier, probably earlier in the year or the college.
I believe so. But the Ohio State game, yeah, I mean, you got 2 guys that are pretty well effective in this receiving game. I mean, you got freaking Smith over there who caught I think 2 touchdowns. I think Egbuka had 3 or something. I know they had quite a few touchdowns. So I mean, they just totally went off, and I was like, "What, dude?" I should have put, actually, I think it was the week before I put a prop down on one of the running backs. I was pretty well pissed. Junkins, he didn't do anything. He didn't get a rushing touchdown. So I was like, "What the?" So I was pretty pissed about that.
Him and Henderson. You should have seen some of the props on Henderson and Judkins for DraftKings. It was like over under 7.5 receiving yards or something crazy. 6.5 receiving yards. These Ohio State running backs need to catch some balls out of the backfield for Will Howard. They're gonna need all hands on deck to beat the Ducks. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a tough game, especially at Oregon.
Yeah, that is it. I guess that's all I got for you guys on the players to watch. My thoughts on that, and I suppose we should get into our last segment to get the show wrapped up, and whatnot. So let's get on over there, and let me find this here, and we'll get it popped up, and we'll kind of wrap the show up.
Yep. Bam.
49. Yep. So notable games to watch this week is going to be kind of a crazy one. We just talked about the Ohio State Oregon game, 2 and 3, both undefeated. So one of these teams is going to lose. I don't know. I want to see the Ducks actually win. I want to see them. I want to be able to see them get to what Gabriel can do. I mean, I think this is the game where he needs to show up and be what he was with the Sooners. That guy that can run the ball and be able to toss the ball. I think this is the game for him to get right. This is I think this is the game that we all need to see from him if he can handle we all know he can kind of handle the spotlight, but can he get over this hump? That's the thing.
Well, that's a great point, and this is the game they wanted to join this conference, man. They wanted more money, they wanted more exposure, wanted better opponents. So this is why Oregon came to the Big Ten, is to play this team, this situation, number 2 and 3. My heart and my head are telling me Oregon. I think I think Oregon's going to win this game. I really do.
Yeah, it's going to be quite
they're going to win.
Gonna be quite interesting, that's for sure. If the Ducks can't really get anything going, I mean, I see Ohio State pulling this out and winning, and the Ducks just kind of shit the bed.
Yep. Oregon, let's say Ohio State there. Yeah. Arizona, BYU. Oh, come on. You know who I'm going to take. BYU 7 days a week and twice. Yeah. I thought if I was in a survivor pool, this would be the game I would take.
I think this was going to. I think this was, it was kind of because BYU is 6-0. If they can't get past Arizona, they're going to be out on the playoffs. So I mean, this is a do-dire win for them. And Arizona, I mean, it's kind of think about Arizona is kind of one of those teams that's kind of there and not there at the same time, because Arizona can play well.
That's why.
Yeah, they can play well if they really wanted to. So it's kind of like, I think it's just one of those games where if BYU isn't doing what they need to, Arizona might end up winning this game either way. Those are my thoughts. We kind of mentioned it here just not too long ago. Like we need Chase needs to get going early in this game. So they're gonna have to get some shit going here if they're going to want to stay with Arizona. But that's my thoughts on that. Donovan says,
at least the Ducks look good doing it. Hell yeah, they do. They need to wear the highlighter yellow. Come on, be dressed to the nines when they whoop that ass. They whoop those Buckeyes. Texas and OU, Jay.
Yes.
I don't think that they would fuck their year up, season up. I think if Ewers isn't right, or somehow, I could see like a last minute, like morning of Saturday morning, like, hey, we're gonna start Arch again. We're just not comfortable with Quinn, or pulling, hey, we're because they have more talent. This Oklahoma team, Tennessee kind of had their way with them.
Congrats! Here's your Oakleys.
Yeah, I need those Oakleys to see through all the shade that I'm putting on Oklahoma. If everything goes as expected, Texas should win by at least 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think so. I'm hoping Texas win. If they want to keep moving along, at least it's better than freaking the Bama. At least Texas isn't so bad. At least they're kind of able. You can kind of watch them a little bit, But yeah. So the last,
I want to see more Manning. That's Quinn Ewers. That's a whatever. It's a. There's a lot of weapons, but I want to see Arch. I'm sold, man. He's must watch TV to me. Go ahead, Jay.
Oh,
I was gonna say Pitt and Cal.
Yes.
Or you were taking Oklahoma or Texas?
Texas.
Okay, so Texas, BYU. Were you taking Arizona or are you taking BYU?
BYU for me.
So BYU, and then you got Ohio State, I got Oregon. And then for the game up top, I don't know, is Jaden Ott back? Is your boy back?
I don't know.
Look good against Miami. Is he going to look good against Pitt?
That's the thing. That's why I was like, dude, this, Pitt's been playing pretty damn good. That's why I'm like, this might be because they're undefeated. Ranked 20, ranked
trap
20,
game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I said, because just think about what Cal did against Miami, and that's why I'm like, if Cal actually does get going and Pitt can't come back, Cal actually might upset them this week. That's why I was like, dude, this is a game that I was like, dude, this is actually what they did last week could be a repeat of what they can do this week against Pitt. And Pitt doesn't quite. I mean, they kind of got the guys to kind of get it done, but Miami actually had the better offense to actually come back, and they have some weapons there. I don't know. That's why I was thinking like, ooh, this would be a good game to kind of talk about, and could be a great upset game.
All that being said, I'm sorry, 14-9, 14-9. They lost to Florida State. That was the deal breaker. I'm thinking, yeah, because Cal's going to be competitive. They are. They could pull this upset. And then I thought back to that Florida State game, and I'm like, nope. Pitt's going to stay undefeated. They're going to win. Desmond Reed's going to do his thing. Eli Holstein's going to throw 3 more touchdowns. It's going to be like it always was.
For sure.
Pitt
Yeah.
win.
I mean, Pitt's been
Take the
playing.
upset here.
I think I'm gonna go Pitt. I'm gonna go Pitt here. Yeah, I'm gonna go Pitt. So
yeah, so we picked pretty much the favorites, and then that it's a pick 'em game between Oregon and Ohio State. They're evenly matched teams, so that's the one you want to watch. If you guys can, if you're busy on Saturday, if that's the one game you can tune into and not have to catch YouTube highlights or look at box scores or. That's the song I want playing. I want Oregon running out of the tunnel listening to some Who, man. Just jazz me up, shit.
But
right.
those are our notable games for week 7 there. We hope everybody, liked the stream this evening. I mean, it was great. It was a blast. We had quite a few people up in here. We had some great questions too as well. We always love people commenting. I mean, it makes the show 10 times better. It makes us feel welcomed, wanted. I mean, it's just a good feeling that people like what they're seeing. I mean, yeah, we kind of mix it. We run a little bit long. I mean, I like to be an hour, but I mean, it's kind of is what it is. I mean, hell, you got both of us wearing the same shirts tonight, which is very unexpected. But it's fun when you get to talk about college. The NFL side of things is a little bit different too. I mean, lesser teams,
much negativity, too much mundane. I mean, Sam Darnold's a nice story or whatever, but might be Cinderella, might strike midnight. Deshaun Watson, he's getting what's karma's a bitch, and he's been playing like one. So
that's just horrible. It is.
We have 130 something options for in FBS. And we haven't even tackled FCS teams. I mean, we could talk Sacramento State and SDSU and
Sacramento might be Sacramento might be moving up to the FBS level.
Moving up to FBS. That's well, we've seen that work out for other teams really well. I mean, look at James Madison. I mean, they're making I know they lost. But they're making a pretty good impact, and they've only been FBS for a couple of years. But there's just a lot more positivity in college, and I get that. I hear that from people too. There's just a lot more positivity. People are a lot more amped for the college game, and it's growing. I mean, this is a growing thing to be a part of, and so we hope to grow along with it, and keep growing our channel, and yeah, it runs a little long here, but like I said, that's why we do shorts, and you can skip ahead, skip behind. There's certain segments you like. Just if you like just the waivers, if you're a fan of me trashing a lot of these coaches, Lincoln Riley, go to the 10-minute mark of this video. So we got you covered.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, we will be bringing out some college spotlights here sooner or later.
Yeah.
Just working on the graphics side of things. So we'll be putting out some of those. So some of those will be coming down the pipeline here too. So stay tuned for some of those. Because the NFL draft is coming around the corner, and we had some good luck talking about just prospects in general. Just instead of doing mock drafts, just talking about an overall general of their talents, and a team that could for him to a guy like him to fill their needs. So we give you.
That's our big thing, is to find a team of need, and I think we really enjoyed doing that. Beginning of this year, 2024, we tried to find a good, like Devon Vele, like Broncos were one of the teams we mentioned, and so we were spot on with that. that they could use someone of his skill set, and he's banged up right now, but you get our point. Like he's made a especially in the preseason made an impact. But so there's guys like that, and we're gonna attack, and we're not the mock draft guys. We respect what those guys do, but we try to find matches. We're the matchmakers, Jay. We're the matchmakers for players. So
yeah. But yeah, other than that, make sure you guys follow our Discord's always open for everybody. I mean, the link is in the description too as well. I mean, Instagram is there. But for all, if you don't catch our stuff, live stream, Spotify, Apple are the places to catch us. Make sure you give us a like, give us a subscribe if you actually like what we see. We're back here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. give or take in there. And and we're talking college ball, man. I mean, hell, why not talk about a little college? I mean, right? But yeah, no, we appreciate everybody that was viewing tonight. It was fun. It was blast. So I think it's almost time for us to get the hell up out of here. And this game is getting out of control too, dude. I mean, do we have to? Yes. I mean, unfortunately, I actually have to go to work.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can probably stay on here all night long.
I got to be up at 4 a.m. So
I mean, I could be here all night long just talking, but I mean, this is not a 24-hour podcast. But make sure you guys follow me on Auto Rhythm Fan over there in X. Eli Appletop over there, and his handle's right there for X too as well. So give him a follow, get him a little bit more involved. But yeah, I actually will put that poll up there too. We mentioned, so I'll get that in the works. So I'll get that put up there sometime either tonight or tomorrow, and start sharing that around to get everybody's thoughts on that too as well. So we'll get some of that going too as well. But other than that, time for us to get up out of here. I'm Jamie. That's Eli from Auto Rhythm. We'll see you guys next time. Later.